Now, if I have a milkshake, and you have a milkshake, and I have a straw, it reaches all the way over there into your milkshake. I drink it up. I drink your milkshake. I drink it up. I drink your milkshake. See that? Listen. Yeah, I know. It's when Daniel Day-Lewis says it, he wins an Oscar. But when I say it, it's, I'm insane, right?
Oh.
How is everybody? It's me, George Trombetti. Nighttime session. Everybody's asleep. Just wanted to, give my account of the events before I went over the documentary evidence. It's about time we. Oh shit! It's about time we do this. Look. I'm actually going to challenge any of the investigators in this when I start this presentation. This is just a preamble. See, let me try to explain something to you people. Okay. Listen. You can thank me later. All right. First of all, so I'm always saying, please, this will go smoother for both sides, even if we're opposed. Just don't automatically assume I'm just as fucking dumb as you are. And you sycophantic suck-ups to the private sector that they call the state's attorney's office down there in Ocala, that lawless swamp, the 5th Judicial Circuit, and of course the cowardly and corrupted cops of the sheriff's office and the Ocala. I've been trying to relate is that, listen, my mom's death, Eileen Berger, 58-year-old woman in Ocala, my mother was a victim of a homicide. Not no, just undetermined event. I determined what the hell happened here. I mean, this was a homicide. Even more so as a murder. It was done with intent. See, and that's what I'm trying to tell you people. Look, if you just don't want to read nothing, that's fine. You can say anything you want, okay? But I'm here. You want to take the Pepsi challenge? Go ahead. Because, listen, I established that night that the whole brain death diagnosis was unlawful. Okay? And brain death is the neurological guidelines that the state of Florida has for assessing such a diagnosis would be completely circumvented. Is consensus. So when they said, listen, I had already said that's why you need 2 doctors to give it. It's legal death. It's not corresponding with biological death. Now it's subjective. Now you're just, it's a social construct. This brain death. Ultimately, that's what it is. And when you strip it of the apnea, the only thing that tethers it to anything scientific, okay, this is the principle you would operate then. The patient's brain dead. Why? Because we all say she's brain dead. And it's that simple. So, basically, so when just like, what's a clinical threshold in standard cardiopulmonary death? Your heart stops. That's obvious. But they don't, because the state statutes require what? Your blood circulatory system to cease. Why? Because it's not permanent. And the UDDA, which is the definition of death, what we accept as a legal definition of death, says your death must be permanent or irreversible. Well, there's no motions to resurrect in appellate court, so it is what it is. And it is. It's basically, that's in like a microcosm. You just. I can't think of a thing where I can't think of a scenario. This one text said to me, where a clinical OPO coordinator gets kicked off the job by an ICU doctor that does not involve him killing that principal patient in some way. William J. Peoples, he's another Ocala resident. He's a cowardly individual. How? And that's what the same. He said to me, "Yeah, I can't understand how you went through one of the most contested brain death diagnoses I've ever heard of. Okay, and you got an ICU doctor who knows being my mother's ICU attendant physician. You know the allocation in your mother's liver. He shouldn't even know at all. Anybody, maybe. That listen, yeah, I get it. This dude Peoples, I don't even know how he's even involved. I get this dude booted off the job. Okay, listen to the voicemail. All right.
That I got that guy off the case and another person is taking over. I believe her name is Lisa. She's going to come at 9 a.m. and she'll be in charge. So you don't have to worry about that gentleman being around. And as we spoke, there is a time schedule for 1 p.m. today for organ procurement. And the liver is going to go to the person that we talked about last night. I wanted to appreciate everything you did and thank you for your generous, sacrifice basically here. And, you're doing the right thing. You're a great man. If there's anything I can help, always you can call back and try, ask for me. They'll find me here. They have my number. I'll be off for the next few days. But, if there's anything, you can just always feel free to reach the hospital and, leave your number or anything. I'll call you back. Again, thank you so much, and sorry for your loss. Bye.
How do you don't get a criminal investigation off this? I have a voicemail from an ICU physician who kicked this motherfucker off the job. He knows, and he's referring in his voicemail that it didn't even happen yet. Okay, it's hours before the procurement surgery, and he's referring to the conversation. It's going to the woman we talked about, and that's the point. And went to the spouse or immediate relative. He's almost sure it was his spouse, Dr. Fedosian. That's how we lost the prosecution. I wasn't there. Neither was Agent Tanner, who investigated the whole thing. Why? Why weren't we there? Because it was ultra confidential. And they alluded that I should have blamed Dr. Fedosian. Well, why? Because he stopped the thing. And we went to stop it. Bill Peoples must have broke down and said, yo, this is going to so-and-so's spouse. Bill Peoples is a former employee there. That's how he was able to commandeer that whole fucking ICU as soon as Dr. Fedosian left. I knew about 4 months out. I knew exactly what this was. Federal allocation policy for the distribution of livers. It's called expedited livers placement. This is going to be the vehicle that Mr. Peoples and his, at least the clinical and with the healthcare workers, where they'll ride this in. Organ procurements, especially this LifeQuest, that's a shady business, and they seem to be especially, reprehensible. But, and liars, like there's very little case law that I could see on organ procurements. Mostly all organ donation law is or case law, is dealing with the transplant side. And it doesn't even seem like there's enough foundation for like any precedents to really be set. It's just the little that there is in on the procurement side tends to be, in the states of New York and Baltimore in the Northeast. Right. How about Surgeon General Lopato, highest doctor in the state? If he told you that it was that, would you believe him? And if a special agent investigated with all the authority and signed off by Governor DeSantis, who's now running for president, would you believe it then? Okay. Well, guess what? I showed them.
No, I didn't run no investigation. I definitely directed that investigation, and I did that when I named the who, what, where, when, why, how,
And that's how I handled the medical consultancy at the Department of Health. After Flex said it was going there, I said, listen. I said, look, I'm trying to not be. Listen. At first I was like, man, this is odd. I find the fucking discs from Medavetsky. And I'll get all that, and just one thing after another. I'm looking for somebody at some point to just say, yo, kid, here, listen, let me show you something. Da 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 da. This is this, and that is that. See, so that couldn't have happened. Oh shit, I'm a fucking idiot. No.
What was an organ donation transplant fraud? Okay? Now,
please, if it can happen, do it. Anybody who's in authority in these matters, please show me how the fuck I'm wrong. Show me. Yes,
they're the rich people and celebrities don't have to wait long to get an organ transplant. See, I mean, all this ain't true. Right here's the organ procurement money flow chart. They say they're a nonprofit, which I guess technically they are, but they still get reimbursement fees. And that's another thing playing into this case with my mom. I think there's a discount on recently infected HCV liver. Yeah. It's an article about death by donation. Basically, it was saying about how, in Western Europe and Canada, in the practice started catching some traction. There's actually they're a little bit more liberal with their philosophies towards, like they always say, Europeans are more scared of government and less scared of religion, which is the opposite with America is. But so basically it's a win-win situation, some kind of gray area legality where they were like, if they're suffering with some kind of advanced Parkinson's or muscular dystrophy, something like that's not just terminal, but also very painful and torturous upon them. So you think it's a win-win, but what they're actually saying here is that you got to watch out for these, trying to coerce mentally, insufficient people that trying to persuade them into actually dying by the process of organ donation, hence death by donation. It's one of the first articles I would read pertaining to the subject when I come back. There we go. There's from Kyle Armbruster. He's a young businessman over Signify Health. Signify Health is another CMS contractor. Here they would have you'll see this guy, Kyle Armbruster, Signify Health. The reason I got him here is he's the CEO, Harvard Business School grad. Austin, Texas is his headquarters of Signify Health, which is a home health care tech firm born and raised in Lakeland, Florida. Well, that's the second, Lakeland, Florida reference as Marcus Hancock, who is the person who is the white, I'd say runner-up for the, who's got William Peoples shares a social security number with Kyle Armbruster, the home health care. His firm will actually have will actually come in and start to medically manage my mother's treatments, as well as begin to monitor them as well. And guess what? There it is. It's absolutely necessary to monitor patients starting HCV treatment. Make sure they complete it. Now, here's where it's just getting crazy with him. I read this one article on him. He was saying something about Carl Armbruster was saying something about how he wants to be like the czar of the new post-COVID medical world. Here's his Signify Health and breach the evidence. Behavioral health. A lot of that going around, especially with these Baker acts being just handed out so arbitrarily. And mentioned to the right providers. Remote patient monitoring. Oh, they don't get off this monitoring shit. That's what I'm trying to say. Listen, when I was researching this, they were saying, yo, Apple Watches, they themselves are tracking your vitals. You know what I'm saying? And sending them back in the whatever databanks. We don't know if Bill Peoples has access to them or not.
HHS contractors, Signify Health, that's brought in the exact day, okay, that her gratitude letter comes from them, okay, is the day she signs her liver consent. Guess what? I'm going to outline this whole thing, okay, and show you beyond a mathematical, reasonable.
I wanted to show you these, the strongest punishment that that's the subcontractor who, there's policies for the OPT, and they're basically one and the same organization until I guess they lose their contract. I think they've had that contract since I was born. Yeah, well, that's about to happen. But it's not there yet. So we're going to Signify Health, and it's going up, man. And here, this is an article written in this Balloon Juice by Adam Silverman. Silverman is this. He's a defense contractor for he actually is a consult. He's a pure fucking he hates anything dealing with religion and God and anything like that. Well, he also ran the philosophy department at any of the PSYOPs. There happens to be a PSYOPs base or PSYOPs division, I think it is, at MacDill. And that's funny because I'm pretty sure that's where Santiago was, and that's who I was going to see. And I have nothing else to call it but a PSYOP. Yeah, they're real. I mean, chief executive, there he is. There's Armbresters. He's all he's some Paul Slaughter white trash. No, I'm just fine. No, chief executive officer. He does pretty good for himself. It's funny that the day he moves his company in there, and they give my mother the gratitude letter, same exact day that she signs her liver consent form. Yeah. Oh, and I'll get to that. About the two girls, both CMS subcontractors, both have in relation to that. That's Nathan Good. He actually comes to my house, preys on me and my family, takes the file, gets through security, basically theft by deception, tampering with evidence. I'm pretty sure that's either by him or his schematic that the terminal incident was laid down on my mother, since he is a defense contractor. And I also believe that he's been over Ken Woodward's house a couple of times. Ken Woodward's the man who found my mom's body, though not a defense contractor himself. He happens to have entered into an embezzlement scheme with my uncle Jimmy Berger, and the actual person, both Jimmy and him. Who would you say, if you were in the state of Florida, who would be the authority on an organ donation transplant fraud? Okay, with my mother's homicide as the attendant result. That was my legal claim for when I aimed it at the two healthcare directorates in the state of Florida at the state level, and the Florida Department of Health. Who is better? You have some of the three biggest authorities probably in that field telling you that happened. Okay, you got the governor who's running for president. Okay, DeSantis. His special agents that conducted a governor-sanctioned full field investigation into the matter, totally initiated by my 185-page report that got all its medical. Once ISU agent Brian Fleck kicked it up to them because he said, I'm just an agent, I'm not a doctor. I don't know what the fuck this is about. But he says to me, when they signed off on it, when we went to a governor-sanctioned full field, boots on the ground investigation, ISU agent Brian Fleck said, yo, these are rare. I've seen a handful a handful in 2 decades here. A handful. Components confirmed by Surgeon General Lopato's medical consult. Okay? Said, yes, this happened. Look, who's in authority on this matter? Me. Right? Me. Because, why is that? Well, who would you? Well, and and he had just told me before him and Surgeon General Lopato's medical consults opined it for that full field investigation that was headed by medical malpractice investigator Special Agent Tanner. Listen to me, but the Florida Department of Health
medical malpractice special investigator Robert Tanner, the one who basically took this on the forefront for 4.5 months. Like I said, I didn't. I joke around about running a governor's sanctioned, full field operation in my underwear, eating Fruit Loops and smoking pot, on a Wednesday morning.
Yeah, we need to know about this shit, and I think that was one of the biggest things. Was like, yeah, we understand what you've seen here, and you're right. He did this. How the fuck did you know about it? Okay, like any good cop would tell you. I don't know what this guy's supposed to be doing. I don't know all the legal components, and I definitely don't know all the medical components of this shit. I don't know. I know this motherfucker right here is lying to me. I know that. I never said that, see, and I want to address all these lies that are being said about what happened and being said about what I'm claiming what happened.
She's targeted, okay? She's targeted, medically managed, monitored, okay? Cured of a liver disease, so it wouldn't pass on to this awaiting recipient, okay?
He says, Trombetti, are you telling me that is that what you're saying, that they monitored your mother as a living organ donor? I said,
no. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm not saying a damn thing to you, Brian Fleck. I said, I know how to read. These disproportionate amount of federal contractors, they move into Signify Health to monitor and medically manage my mother's healthcare course, which is now almost exclusively consisting of what? Liver treatments. They cure my mother's liver of a 30-year or at least a 3-decade-old, I'd say at the minimal, a quarter-century-old hepatitis C viral contraction that had extremely little or no negative impacts on her liver whatsoever. Okay? All right. Then 3 days later, she drops.
Then she's whacked with a terminal incident. I'm almost positive it's being done with Woodward Sr., okay, on the ground, lookout time. Probably this guy, Roger Lucas, having something to do with it. And I'm almost...
Look, I said the medical consultancy, Brian Agent Fleck, after I showed how they medically managed, okay, as they were monitoring her, all right, using another CMS. There's a disproportionate amount of federal subcontractors, having access to my mother or her medical treatments or her, or her real estate and her homeowners. And this includes a man that comes here to, I believe, to, cover up some evidence that he left behind. The Chicago's, perpetrator always returns to the scene of the crime. His name's Nathan Good. He preyed on my family's, desperate attempts for some investigational, entity to actually take lead in this. It's after, that there was such a delay in her, my mother's autopsy results due to Dr. Tracy saying the OPO using up all her blood. This Nathan Good, this private investigator, who I believe is the reason why my original private investigator, Isaac Santiago, and his junior investigator, Jay Davis, why they listen. It was there was a patrol car parked, and he does co-inhabit with a cop, evidently, William Peoples. That's not the reason why they stepped down, though. I know a stand down order when I see one. I seen this man's whole attitude change. It's because he belongs to the same, secret circle jerk society as this Nathan Good, who's able to breach my security. He's another.
99% certain that either through design or that he did it himself. Okay, fucking Nathan Good.
He's being executed by a militant group working.
People's in his clinical, as that's been confirmed by, unless you know another authority that's going to say it's not, even though they lost the prosecution. That's, I know because John Grout threw the case, okay, and I know why John Grout threw the case, and I know who told John Grout to throw the case, but he's a prosecutor, old healthcare lawyer dickhead from Florida somewhere. But listen, like, trust me, I had the insight on this, okay? Listen, how many organ donation transplant frauds is there? How many is confirmed by the government? How many have been administered on the procurement side and has been confirmed by some kind of investigatory or government entity? I haven't found one of them. The few transplant frauds that you have, or how many are actually that? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's when the OPO
page, Advent Health, Ocala medical file that chronicled my mother's 3 days there as a ward in her ICU. Okay, where I was her sole medical decision maker. Okay, and her custodian being one Dr. Belarus Fedosian, her ICU attending physician.
does it, and this would be done by an out the door. I came into it on the clinical side when we broke down the triune that attacked it first. Okay, me and two private investigators, GPA out of Tampa. Okay, we basically kept it like that because, well, there was a tech guy, Jay Davis. Okay, he did all the tech shit, computer shit, right? And then his executive, Isaac Santiago, he was in it more for what these exclusions warrants were, and that's going to make that's actually going to tie into a lot of what happened here in Pennsylvania in two different spheres. Somebody who appears to be an authority in that, and the actions of my mom's older brother, James Berger, and how that shows you his, and then by extension, Tree Smith, who the both of them, I believe, are guilty of homicide criminal-related actions.
I don't really find out why. Well, I know why it's kept from me, but I don't know if that's the original purpose. But it seems to be now. But is that just a byproduct of my mother dying? And I'll explain all that. Or was that like knowing in advance? There's two things, there's a few things regarding my uncle Jimmy Berger that, at first I thought like Ken Woodward just dupes him. That's the man who found her body, the man across the street, supposed friend of hers. They used to smoke weed together or some shit. He's a fucking weirdo. So anyway, he told Jimmy, or did he entice him into this embezzlement deal? Okay, or there are odds connections. The more I look into it, the more connections Jimmy's having to this, and I'm starting to tilt over the line to where he was just duped into doing it, to where he might have had some kind of pre-knowledge of this.
He's the far black op that killed my mother, Eileen Ann Berger, 58-year-old woman of Ocala, Florida. Well, fuck, there was a cover story being disseminated amongst the nursing ranks at Advent Health Ocala, which that was a pure cover story. That I was an anti-organ donation radical, disgruntled about my mother's designation as an organ donor. Private intelligence agents who are, I'm sure, contract agents with, agencies within our intelligence apparatus.
And I'll get into all that about him.
I had no other choice to call a militant group, but Mr. Peebles also works as an agent of LifeQuest.
They're being dead. He's a defense contractor, or formerly was. I don't know if he still is, or how that's structured. Okay, so is the person that Ken Woodward entered in supposedly for the embezzlement scheme. And this is admitted by Jimmy, not embezzlement. Once I'm going down there and he finds out I'm driving down, he's already got a plane ticket bought, or he's about to get a plane. So what are you driving? June 8th, about 6:40 p.m. No, exactly 6:40 p.m. I get a call from my mother's older brother, Jimmy Berger. He's He's like a government worker down in Wildwood. Nothing important. He's dumb as a bag of rocks. He has no idea how it happened. You know, I, I called a hospital. They said she has a poor neurological state. You know, that right. And but then he told me that they gave me this 4-digit code that's for all life support next of kin, so they can make decisions. Told me, yo, don't be passing it off to nobody. Especially if it's another male, they could, basically, usurp your, directive giving ability, and actually pretend that it's you. So, but I didn't. I gave it right to my grandmom and uncle, just in case something were to happen. Driving down? I said, yeah. And he said, why are you doing that? He's like, I'm on my way down there now. And I said, well, she's got this freezing thing going on, because they didn't tell him that. And he's like, oh, what do you mean by that? I'm like, she's down. Like they said it's going to be like 20 hours or something until they bring her back up. See, supposedly, my grandmother went into some kind of slight shock, because I don't know, it's slight because it's just too weird. Like, and I never really got no answers. It went right from, everybody trying to make that's my mother's family. Like, and even my mother to a degree, they were very money oriented. And they're fucking chronic liars too. They'll say anything. They'll say anything, about just to keep their, I don't know what the fuck they are, but here basically, they're nobody to me. But they should have been somebody to my mom, though. And where the fuck they're at, I don't know. And because I get in a couple arguments with them. So the fuck what? Like, who? What, you're not going to back your sister? They don't give a fuck. No, they give a fuck. They're probably actually aligned against us at this point. Because, well, I know her sister is. I know her brother definitely is. Okay, that's all that she had is her sister and brother. And, there's only a couple kids. But anyway, so he tells me this. Jimmy Berger tells me, that he was on his way down, but he can't. So I opt to drive, and I think driving's the better case. So I said, oh shit, I can be down there right. You know what I'm saying? And then I see there's my girlfriend. She's my fiance now. And I said, that's right. And I said, let's go pack the 2 dogs up. But I had to go make sure they watch the house, but I'm still thinking it's 20 hours. So here I got a probation. It was a 6 years old case. I had 4 months left for a DUI that I violated another case on. But here I'm thinking like this nurse is telling me she's got a poor neurological state. And I'm thinking like, oh man, like she's coming. I said, like, so they said about a half hour for brain scans and to see if she's even brain dead, maybe or not. I don't know. They didn't say brain dead at the time, but I'm thinking something along that or vegetative state. I really don't even know the actual clinical difference until I talked to Tracy Perbatani from LifeQuest. And she basically, she misinforms me in 1 or 2 things, but she actually is the one who actually enlightens me on a lot of the fascinating aspects of the organ donation process. So anyway, so basically what's happening is I opt to drive because I don't know how she even got into this. Was she at her house? Anything. Nobody said nothing to me. So I'm thinking like, did she in a car accident? Maybe her car's towed. I had no idea. So I said, let me drive. I mean, because I could probably make it back. When my girl comes, I got to drive up the key. I don't know how long I'm going to be. You know what I'm saying? So it's about 10:30 by the time I'm on the road ready to go. I know I was panicking. I dropped my keys, couldn't find, I was already in the process of doing some work in the basement. My whole basement's a mess. And, and now I'm on the phone trying to call people, trying to figure something out. So it's about 10:30 and I'm on my way. And I stopped right at the Delaware border at this gas station because they told me it was going to be a half hour for the doctor to come interpret the brain scans. So I decided to wait, thinking that was the best, that would have been the best think, just let me wait. Let me see what this time is. And I'll go back and get a plane if it looks like she needs me right now or what it is. So I wait about an hour. Now it's like 11:30. I'm waiting. I'm sitting in this Wawa. I'm drinking a milkshake, talking to Jimmy here and there, talking to this. And I'm like, yo, what if I said, fuck it, and just banged out and just started going. And it was about 3:30 in the morning, 3:37. Everybody was. I said, I got the dogs hollering. She's tired. So I was only in the car for fucking 5 hours. But 3:37, I pull into this gas station. I pull into this hotel, this La Quinta Hotel in Aberdeen, Maryland, and that's where I'll have the first of 5 discussions in my whole life with Dr. Behruz Ferdosian. That's my mom's attending ICU physician. He's a great guy. I wonder where he's at now. They probably capped his head up with so many lies. This Paula Fight, she's such a treacherous fucking individual. Like because she said right away, "Oh, the doctor's tired of the threats." Well, who? And I said to her, "Well, who threatened them? Who?" So I already know they're probably pumping his head, saying such shit about me, going, "Oh, the kid's going to sue you and all this shit." Well, yeah, I'm gonna fucking sue him now, probably, because he's been quiet. And I know I tried to email him a couple of times. They told him, after he wrote my mother a eulogy or something, and he tried to give it over to my fiance a couple, and they won't let him do it. But listen, no matter what, when it comes down to Dr. Ferdosian, he's the best doctor I ever met, and I don't know why. Maybe he's just, maybe he feels guilty.
And once I point out the window of Mr. Peoples' unscrupulous procurement methods and his directing my mother's clinical homicide, you'll see it begins right as Dr. Ferdosian's about to be off shift, and pretty much comes to an end when he gets there. Though it'll take me another few hours to get there myself, and then another few hours of convincing Dr. Ferdosian.
So basically, I don't make too much of a big deal about it. But here I go to, call this dude Ken, and he didn't even answer the phone. Somebody's got a poker game. I'm like, damn, my mom's in a fucking hospital. Just on that's doorstep. This dude's supposed to be your friend. He can't even answer the phone. Well, whatever. So I'm driving. I get in the car about 9:30 on June the 9th. I leave the hotel seat, and this is why it's taking me long. It's like I'm not in no hurry now. I'm thinking like, all right, she got the DNR. She might not even, probably won't even make it, but that's what I'm thinking. So here I'm driving along, and here my mom's friend, Ron Lyle. Now Ron's like kind of like my grandmom's go-to guy. He's actually my friend back when I was down here the first time in 07. And then, we started hanging out again when I came down here for my mom's 50th birthday in the Olympics in 2012. But Ron basically, he's almost like one of my mom's girlfriends, you know what I'm saying? But nah, Ron's cool. That's my man. But basically, that's who my grandmom talks to when my mom had problems and stuff. And here, he goes on the morning. He's like, yo, George, what the fuck's going on, man? He's like, yo, your grandmom is with your uncle or son. They're acting like weird. I'm trying to find out about your mom. I can hear your uncle in the background. She's saying he ain't even there. She's talking about, don't worry, I got my lawyers on it, Ron, like something about a house. And then the dude Ken, he calls. He's worried about her pills. Got people calling her house. Where's her pills at? And she's like, "What the fuck is going?" And I tried to call Ron like that night, like the night before the air. I couldn't even get hold. I'm like, "Dude, Ron, what the fuck? Where you been?" Like, here he's with her on the 7th. He's a little bit of a partier, so I think he crashed all day on the 8th. So now he's there on the 9th. And here. He's finding this whole thing odd and shit like that. Well, here, my grandma, she clicks, she's calling. So, yo, that's my grandma. Hold up, I got on the phone with her. Right away, she said, "Oh, you put it in?" Yeah, I said, "Yeah." I said, I told the nurse to give the priest. I said, I don't know if they did. They ended up doing it. It's all in the file. But she says she starts going on about how there's one of these, we buy outfits, flippers. And I was just like, what the fuck are you talking about? What is going on? Like, Ron just says, and I'm like, what do you mean you got a we buy houses up? Jimmy's just telling me about this dude Ken. Like, does anybody even give a fuck about my mom? Or like, what's going on? And they don't. They're sick. They're sick. They're sick people. They never really did. And that's the whole thing. Like, my mom had some drug problems and shit. And I had said, Ron had put me on like some of the shit she was doing. And like I tried to tell my grandmom, and I said, "Listen, see," but because she was out like party balling, she was more into like she got more into the dope deal, and but like as long as she could afford it, she didn't she ain't out there crashing cars, she ain't out there getting all fucked up, going to jail, she's maintaining. So they're never really about getting her clean or anything like that. They're just worried about how she appears, not to be an embarrassment. They'd rather her be, a shell of a person, bad on drugs. Well, that's my grandma's philosophy. My uncle don't give a fuck really about nobody. So, not I'm not trying to put it on like that they had a responsibility. My grandma kind of spoiled my mom and anything because there's some problems with her when she was younger. She's one of them like selective mutes or something. Yeah, you never know. But so I'm like, yo, what are you people talking? So boom, so I end up getting off the phone with them, and I'm like, I pull up to this like a college dorm type building in Chambersburg, Maryland. It's like a brick, they're like little apartment buildings. I think I had to go take a piss, and I was, and he's like, and there's like ivy like rolling up the side. I'm in between two of them, and I get a call from Dr. Jack O.B. He's an intensivist. Because I had said I wanted, a second doctor to confirm Dr. Fedosian's, diagnosis, my mother's, neurological state and or just overall, grave condition that he described to me. And basically, I said, Doc, you concur with Dr. Fedosian's, diagnosis about, he said about a, 0.001% chance. He goes, he's basically he implied that Dr. Fedosian kind of, lowballed that or maybe highball, however you want to, whatever your perspective is. Basically, he's saying that, that my mother's, he's basically saying that my mother's, don't even have that good of a chance. And Dr. Fedosian would say later, like he's like George, would he tells me that it was more figurative, just so he didn't really crunch the numbers. When I said, well, you told me 100,000 chance. And he's like, well, anyway, and I got to pull out the math on Doc O.B. too later on. But I asked him, I said, yo, Doc, I said, listen, is my mother being mainly sustained by artificial means? Does she got some kind of mechanical device, maintaining her and doing her breathing for her, keeping her, heart and lungs pumping? And he is. Your mother is presently on a ventilator. He goes, and I believe she's just suffered a profound brain injury. And I personally don't think I can see her breathing on her own. But we'll never know until we pull the ventilator now, will we? And that's going to be my contention with, the medical team that's assessing her brain death, with Dr. Jack O.B. at the forefront of this. That's, and that's why, because, people say, oh, you just want the withdrawal is important, it's going to kill your mother anyway. You didn't have any medical malpractice, doctor, lawyers. I said, dude, no, it's not that. And honestly, I would have probably thought that too. But it's pulling life support. No. See, now, like, because with this whole brain death thing, when you remove this apnea, which it is kind of like an exact science as Tracy Perpetine, I'm getting to that. But basically, it's, the clinical threshold's gone now. It's a social construct. And that's what the root of apnea, this highest standard of brain death and determining final brain death assessment. It's not just totally detaching it. You release the gas and see, and gauge if there's some kind of reaction. If you try to exhale. But once you remove that, it's now pretty much interpretations of scans, interpretation of coma, which is, I mean,
Hello, this is Bill with LifeQuest, and this message is to Mr. Trombett. And Mr. Trombett, I wanted to let you know that here at Advent Hospital here in Ocala, we have been following your mom, Eileen Berger, and I wanted to let you know that we're going to be stepping away from this case. We want you to come here and get things sorted out with what's going on with your mom, and then be available to you if you have any questions and come back. So just alerting you to that. If you have any questions of me, you can reach me at this number, 352-470-1809. Be happy to answer any of your questions, sir. But at this time, we're going to step away and we need you to have to arrive here and then sort things out with the medical staff on your mom's condition, and then we'll be available, if you need us. Okay. And I hope you travel safely and get here safely, sir. And again, we're here if you need us, and I am sorry about your mom. And hopefully when you get here, you'll get some better answers. Okay? Thank you.
Since I have a voicemail from him, which serves as a microcosm of a much more detailed explanation, where he had already told me.
we were trying to establish the chronology of, once there's a little custody, no, not a little, about, that's being contested when I show up to the hospital. But so anyway, basically, Shannon's telling me that, I don't know. I could tell something. You can tell like I don't know who you're talking about. I said, "But-" so then, so he
Sorted out with what's going on with your mom, and then be available to you if you have any questions and come back. So just alerting you to that. If you have any questions of me, you can reach me at this number, 352-470-1809. Be happy to answer any of your questions, sir. But at this time, we're going to step away and we need you to have to arrive here and then sort things out with the medical staff on your mom's condition, and then we'll be available, if you need us. Okay. And I hope you travel safely and get here safely, sir. And again, we're here if you need us, and I am sorry about your mom. And hopefully when you get here, you'll get some better answers. Okay. Thank you.
here at 5:00. So I'm bitching, I'm yelling. They sitting there putting the organ donation on hold. I said, how are you? What organ donation? There is nobody to procure the organs. They're out. I talked to LifeQuest. Talked to Bill. 5:07. Now, Mary Acosta's telling me, wait till Dr. Sally gets here. He's a neurologist. George, whole set this whole thing. He's a man you can trust. I still don't know where Dr. Sally stands on this. Check this out. But I know, listen, the only mention that they got of Dr. Sally is here. The whole medical files got me objecting to it. Then this Dr. Alaqui, a man I never met, the second doctor who's not the neurologist, he actually says that it makes no sense because he's here. Like this is how you know that the time's retroactive. And I'll get all of that into the charts. Anyway, Dr. Sally calls me at 5:07 p.m. Right, and I start just ripping from the door. I'm like, "Yo, Dr. Sally, they're trying to declare my mom brain dead." That Mary Acosta, stop, just stop what you're saying. He's like, just stop what just. He said, "What do you want done?" I said, "What?" He's just like, I heard, I know what's going on. He goes, you tell me what you want. I'll make it happen. You tell me what you want for your mother. I said, listen, Dr. Obi had said that the only way you can tell if a person is to remove it. Now all these apneas are being aborted, so I want this ventilator removed from my mother so that you and the doctors can ascertain for yourselves if she's brain dead or not. He goes, I'll make that happen. I'll make you promise. He goes, that's what you want. You're her son. That's your mother. I'll make it happen. And he actually goes on to tell me, I said, well, how long is that? I said, Doc, how long is it, or what's the longest that a person's ever went? Like when you pulled a ventilator out, like I always want the extremes, not the average. No, because, well, when it goes past it, I say, well, this is an outlier. So I said, what's the longest a person's ever went off a ventilator? He goes, the longest he goes, listen. He goes, how long it takes them to expire after he goes, and he tells me this anecdote, he goes, I won't tell you what I've been told, and I won't tell you what I've read, but I'll tell you what I've seen. I said, yeah. He goes, I seen a man one time go over 3 hours. Over 3 hours. He goes, that is exceptionally rare. He goes, normally it's within 30 minutes. I said, oh, okay. This is at 5:07. It lasts till about 5:20. I'm at a Hardee's drive-through parking lot in Lumberton, so I pulled over because I was flying to get there now in Lumberton, South Carolina, on June 10th at 5:07, maybe a little 5:20. So now I slow down again. It's going to be over, right? I sit in the parking lot for an hour and a half talking. The dogs are out there getting walked. There's a light rain out. My girl, you know what I'm saying? I'm sweating and shit. And here I talk to I'm talking to my grandmom, and she's kind of said, it's once again, gotta tell her it's over. It's over, right? Right. So boom. They said they were going to call me too. They were going to have Shannon call me and stuff like this as soon as it was over. 5:20, 5:22, I'd say it was over at. But I know Dr. Sally calls me at 5:07 p.m. on June 10th. Here, I'm looking, my girlfriend's talking this and this, and I remember her getting like, are you listening to me? And I said, listen, it's 20 after fucking 7. I said, it's well over 2 hours. Why haven't they called? Like this. And I said, and this is how much of an idiot I am. I'm starting to say, this is because my mom was like a medal swimmer back in Sua. She was really butterfly stroke. She was vicious. You know what I'm saying? Probably the most athletic person on either side of my whole family. And here, she was, down the south swing until she, started getting, on drugs and all that shit. But here, she was really good swimming, and she used to, she's still down here at this Oak Run. She go eat her pills and go up and wait till they start kicking in. She was in a bad car accident a couple years back in 2004. So she started, ripping the laps and shit. So anyway, here at 5:07 p.m. This, I had to talk with Dr. Sally and all that shit. It's like 20 after 7 now. I'm like, dude, what's out? Going on to 7:30. I called his hospital up 7:30. This is when the shit kicks the fan. This is 7:30 again. See, this is when the shit's up. Why? Because Ferdogen's about to be back on.
and this is when the whole attitude of the hospital changes. They were kind of just playing dumb. Now they're getting vicious. This, and this is when I started getting vicious back. But check out how they fucking play, right? See, they were all, as long as she wasn't, this is when they officially declared her brain dead. And this was doctor probably around 7:30, quarter to 8. Okay, but she's still not, like, they just said, we got.
Hello, this is Bill with LifeQuest, and this message is to Mr. Combat. And Mr. Combat, I wanted to let you know that here at Advent Hospital here in Ocala, we have been following your mom, Eileen Berger, and I wanted to let you know that we're going to be stepping
I
away
was told a
from this
neurologist.
case. We want you to come
Okay,
here
Dr.
and get things sorted out with what's
Tracy
going on
Pertine
with
said
your
first,
mom,
I said, she said the
and
second
then be
independent
available
doctor
to you
has
if
to,
you have any
you know,
questions and come back. So
basically,
just alerting you, to
there
that.
is no
If you
brain
have any
death
questions
or
of
any
me,
death until the
you
second
can
doctor
reach
comes
me
in
at
and
this
says,
number,
yep,
352
that's when it officially starts. I don't care if you're one.
470
Oh, no, you're wrong.
Be happy to
Second
answer any
doctor
of your
has to
questions,
come in
sir.
before it's
But
any,
at this
for
time,
the
we're going to step
legality of a
away.
death even starts with a brain
We'll,
death.
we need
She says
you
it
to have to arrive here and then
must have a
sort
second
things out
independent
with the
doctor.
medical staff
So
on
so
your
I'm like,
mom's
what does
condition,
that
and
mean,
then we'll be
independent? Like,
available,
what are they,
if,
not
if you
Siamese
need us.
twins? They're not
Okay?
fucking joined. What does
And I hope
independent
you
mean?
travel
So I originally
safely
thought it
and
meant
get
you
here
not work at the
safely,
same
sir.
hospital.
And
I said, that wouldn't make sense. What are you going to do?
we're
Fucking
here if
hurry
you
up
need
and
us, and
have
I'm
another
sorry about your
doctor
mom,
just come?
and hopefully
I
we
couldn't
get
think
you
of what
get
that
some better
meant.
answers.
She
Okay?
goes, no, George, it means if another practice, in this case being a brain death diagnosis, it's almost always going to have at least a neurologist. Did she? No, I'll be 100% honest. It's very easy, and sometimes I like to say, "Oh, she told me there's going to be a neurologist." I'll be honest. She said almost always in these cases. She didn't say always. She didn't. So, Dr. Obeid, when I said to him, I said, "Yo, where's the second doctor confirming these abortions that you're doing or suspect?" He goes, "I don't need one." I said, "What do you mean you don't need one?" I said, "She says I only need a second one." This is when I started. I only need a second doctor to confirm the brain death. So what? You're just going. I said, what is the medical legitimacy of you aborting all these? I want a second doctor in here saying, no, that was a legitimate abortion, because it seems to me now it's just like, boom. Let me just every time I get an unfavorable result that she's not brain dead, I'm just going to stop it. That ain't what the fuck is that? But he said, I don't need one because it's not confirmed, and I didn't like that shit. I said, oh, that's how you're going to do it? And so, that was after the first one. I get in the second one. Then once I find out about the second, which is ultimately, I believe, to be the third one. Okay? The second one, he told me he was coming on later at night. It looks like there was another one ran that morning that fucking, even that, I think the second one happened after. I think, and then, Ferdosian witnesses the third one. Sometime like in the early morning, they run a third one and they don't even do it. Reaction to pain. So, because the second one, because Obeid tells me they find out that they run the first one at 5:51 p.m. on June the 9th. I'll get to that in the documentational segments. Right. Anyway, so 7:34, Dr. Ferdosian tells Bill Peoples it's a wrap. The son is elected to withdraw life support. And I actually go on and say, you know what, Dr. Ferdosian, this is fucked up. I actually, me and my grandmother, she's already lost her youngest child, and then she thinks that, I'm some kind. Check this out. Here. So I'm looking at my girlfriend, I'm like, what the fuck, how are they even doing this? I said, there is no donation services. But then I'm starting to say, once I hear that they're really gearing up for this brain death diagnosis, I'm starting to say, yo, what the fuck? So I get on the phone, and I'm starting to tell. And I'm like, wait, how did I said, yo, where's Bill from the Oregon joint? That's what I said, and they're like this. We don't know who you're talking about. And I could tell that Shannon's lying. She's a real bitch to me, Shannon. Of all the nurses, she's such a fucking bitch. I like to know it. I'll be honest though, Shannon's the only person to apologize. She know Paula Fight. Paul Fight, I gave her all the evidence. I see, ha ha ha. So she said, well, Bill Peoples did this. We have no control over Bill Peoples. Well, fuck if you don't have control over Bill Peoples. And I should have let ACA just fucking stick their foot in it Advent House ass like they wanted to. Get out of here, you. My fucking dogs, man, they're gone crazy. And here,
So, hold on a second. Who was advocating against his own grandmother to allow this procedure. He goes, how does a man change so radically in just 12 hours to where he's actually arguing against his own grandmother to now being and I said, well, guess what? They're not that far off. I'm about to be anti whatever the fuck this shit is, and I'm still not. Listen, I'm not gonna let the weirdos hijack a concept like organ donation, the modern miracle that it is. I said, no. But listen, human application needs to be very, very much, especially this brain death bullshit. Okay, now I still got organ donor on my driver's license, and that's what they couldn't believe when I'm showing the nurses here, like just in PA, in Philadelphia. I actually talked to the OPOs in Philadelphia about this shit. Yeah, coordinator up there. So anyway, more about this expedited liver replacement, but I'll get to all that soon. So Dr. Fedosian tells me, he's like, listen, George, he goes, listen, I said, Doc, wait, my directives, he said, listen, I know that they delayed your directives. The reason they delayed your directives is so they can confirm it for you. I said, how do you fucking confirm? I said, listen, I don't want to hear it. So this goes on for 3 hours, me and him. Okay, with the two nurses, they're sitting there, the 3 security guards, people are starting to come, and me and him, I'm standing up like I'm a boxer, just because that's the way I'm talking and shit like this. And he goes, he's just sitting there all calm, like Dr. Fedosian is. And so I'm like, Doc, listen, I said, first of all, how do you take an inferior test to confirm a fucking diagnosis that you don't even have? How is this a confirmatory test? He's like, George, I said, and that's it. That's you know what I'm saying? Other than the eye joint with the flashlight, I said, what else do you got? And he's like, listen. He's like, George, he goes, apnea is a very crucial part. You can't diminish the value, the capacity that apnea plays in a brain death evaluation. He goes, but it is an evaluation. And it consists of about 4 or 5 different assessments. At least, he goes, it's just not apnea. And I said, well, guess what? And he's like, and it's not inferior. Like, he's like, it's he's just like, well, then I said, what, then this nuclear brain flow? I said, yes, it is superior than that. And he's like, not necessarily. Like, now he's a doctor. He's the expert on this. I said, look, yes, it is, because that's the way it was presented to me. That apnea is the highest standard in an exact science. They never even brought up no nuclear brain flow. Okay? Here, yet. And he's telling me, he's just like, well, nuclear brain flow. He said, listen, you're always going to get a nuclear brain flow result. He goes, so in a way you can argue it's a little more, subjective, because it's an interpretation as opposed to apnea is cut and dry. He's like, but you don't always get an apnea. Like, yeah, no shit. If somebody's going to keep stopping it every time it's saying not brain dead. And look, and like I said, I would have been for this if they would have just been honest. So then we're going back. But now he's pulling out the other fucking brain death evaluations and, how much time it went by. So I'm starting to lose, like this. And I said, the only reason he was able to fucking piece me up from a medical point of view when it came to the nuclear brain flow assessment is because I never heard of it. Just like I never heard of apnea or any of the other brain death assessments, the cold caloric, and none of them. Like, I didn't hear none of this shit. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't know. I had apnea, flashlight to eye. That's all I was told. So we're now all these other, plus, see, this is another thing, is plus all the other evaluations said that they said there was an evaluations. They already were over. That they indicated there was nothing. That's the whole thing that you needed apnea. Now, as I'm reading now I'm not a lawyer nor a doctor. As I read the Florida state statutes, it says, as of 2019's edition, you need apnea with a neurological consensus. You need at least one positive apnea. Now, there are circumstances, at least 2, where you can circumvent apnea, as I see it. What are they in the state of Florida? A false positive from the thing. Well, no, because in each one, you have a doctor or a nurse telling me that my mother had some kind of reaction. Now Dr. Obi says it's an anomaly, but in the first one at 5:51 p.m. on the 9th, he says what? Dr. Obi says, had a reaction? No. That's what Dr. Fedosian says at the second or third one. The 5:51 p.m. says, patient has profound brain injury. and I think she will be brain dead. I think she had movement. Her head moved. Then Mary Acosta gets another movement. Dr. Fedosian says reaction to pain later on the morning of the 10th. See, so that's how. This is my mother moving, and one can argue she's progressing, like, you know, whatever the fuck. So anyway, so then I got, all right, the other reason why you can circumvent an apnea is the next of kin. I made it a fucking requirement. Who does that? I've never seen that in anything. Every single time an apnea is under contention, it's because the people don't want it. Because they think they're just trying to declare their. I said, bring that shit. Like, let me see. I want to hear. Yeah. Oh shit. Can't breathe. Can't live. Sounds good to me. I'll buy that. Yeah. Right. See, this is it. See, they don't even live up to their own standards. This is what I'm saying. Did I make the rule? No. This is how they outlined it to me. Then they want to. You know, it's all they want to do is keep changing the fucking goalpost. You know what I'm saying? They keep changing it. Like this FDLE. They go, oh, we can't have. Dude, you got more citizens advisory than any fucking people I know. You know what I'm saying? You fucking sold the fucking state of Florida out. You fucking scumbags at FDLE. I wish I had more time so I could really start breaking down these bureaucracies. Okay, but I had to sit here and wet nurse the fucking idiots, you know, in Marion County and Ocala who just, they're just corrupt old fucking, Peckerwoods anyway. But and that's the thing. Trust me, I'm back in Philadelphia. We're not novice to corruption. Trust me, it's there. We're just not so flagrant about it. We know when this shit. You can't do this on the surface. You know what I'm saying? And look, and one of the reasons I'm able to catch a lot of this shit, and this is why. It's a typical underestimation of your opponent or your adversary when you come with the typical. You underestimate. Look, what's the worst underestimation? That when going into this shit, these cops and these doctors and nurses and they just automatically assume that I'm just as dumb as fucking they are. See, that ain't gonna help you none. So anyway, basically, here's the thing. So me and Dr. Fedosian, we're going back and forth. He starts piecing me up a little bit. So that's when I got to shift gears on him. And I'm like, listen, he's telling me, he's like, George, now he's making an argument for something that's not even his. He's just he's the only doctor that's willing to come down and talk to me. So he's talking to me. So I'm like, Doc, listen. I said, listen. I said, fuck all that medical mumbo jumbo now. Listen, because I'm a high school dropout. He's a fucking ICU doctor. Listen, even if I did have the principle or the merits behind what I was saying, he's somehow going to talk his way through this. But now it's getting down to this. Look, I'm her directive giver. You're her capacity. I said to you, you honored it. Okay, I didn't even know it was him. See, I thought Bill Peoples called me because of me complaining to fucking LifeQuest, calling him up. This crazy Dr. Obeid. Nah, he actually calls me at 10:30 because fucking I'm snapping at Obeid and Obeid saying donor services involvement. Dr. Fedosian or Mary Acosta already told him at 7:34. He's sitting there for 2 hours while Fedosian's going, waiting to get this, telling him. And Obeid says right up, dude, donor services. That's my master. That's who I answer to. So here's the thing. So I'm there and so I start trying to switch it up. I shift gears on him a little bit. Plus he's making an argument. I said, yo, Doc, listen, doesn't matter. My directive supersedes all this because he goes, what do you mean? And I said, listen, I told you yourself so I can ascertain, or you or Mary Acosta, whoever, if my mother's able to sustain her own, cardiorespiratory system unassisted by these counterfeit fucking, gods you made over here. Like they listen, like this ventilator and all that shit. I said, look, pull that ventilator. They need to. He goes, George, listen. I said, you told me she doesn't meet the legal requirements. My legally supersedes anything this way and stuff. So then, this is where he puts it to me here. There's really no arguing around this one. The other person goes, George, listen, you might be right. But the reason they did it was to help. If you I got all these papers. Courtney said, that's the pathologist at Leesburg who ran my who did the what do you call it, autopsy. She says, George, there's no legitimate medical or toxicological reason why your rather healthy 58-year-old mother suffered a brain hemorrhage at all, let alone the magnitude she did. I studied the heart. Dr. Wolf studied the heart, who has no authority over her in the state of Florida. And by exploiting a provision in new federal allocation policy called expedited liver replacement, basically it gives an OPO clinical personnel a venue to circumvent the Metron system, which is that's the system and process that they use to allocate organs to potential organ transplant recipients. All right, this will be done. Basically, I'll give you a small rundown of expedited livers if you want to listen. All right, expedited liver replacement says, you got your heart and lungs, okay? They're life-sustaining organs, of course. Not a big wait line for them, because why? Well, not many people are waiting for heart and lungs, because if you were needing them, you ain't gonna be waiting that long. Okay, you're either dead or maybe get a set. But lungs are hard to transplant. Okay, they are. They're very hard to transplant. They're the hardest. And if they are a little bit better than what you're working with, you're going to take them. All right, the heart and the lungs. So there's a little line for them. Kidneys, okay, they're not life-sustaining organs. You can get them off a living person. They're not, in the dead donor rule, which is basically, dead donor rule is the founding, not the founding. It's definitely, well, it's higher than a law. What's higher than a law? A principle. That's how or at least getting a good, that's what you can base. That's what most laws are based off, and that's what you can base your hypothesis on, whether a law is going to work or not. Like, we don't know if a law is going to work or not. We know a principle is going to work. Why? Because it's a principle, and that's what you base your laws off of. That's what organs, what livers they were going to take, and started treating them as though they were kidneys. And what I mean by that is they started turning them down too much. Okay, so you start turning down livers and shit like they were kidneys. Like, even one of my moms got turned down.
Hey George, this is Dr. Ferdowsian. Sorry to bother you. I know you were up late last night. Just wanted to update you on a few things. I wanted to let you know that I got that guy off the case and another person is taking over. I believe her name is Lisa. She's going to come at 9 a.m. and she'll be in charge. So you don't have to worry about that gentleman being around. And as we spoke, there is a time scheduled for 1 p.m. today for organ procurement, and the liver is going to go to the person that we talked about last night. I wanted to appreciate everything you did and thank you for your generous, sacrifice basically here. And, you're doing the right thing. You're a great man. If there's anything I can help, always you can call back and try, ask for me. They'll find me here. They have my number. I'll be off for the next few days, but if there's anything, you can just always feel free to reach the hospital and leave your number or anything. I'll call you back. Again, thank you so much, and sorry for your loss.
It's the federal
Okay, and that's what I'm saying. Like I did the investigation. Go do one and disprove it. Not one fucking person, not one medical personnel or one investigator in 1 year could do it. Arletta Gardner did the best shot, just confirming the one thing I didn't think I was going to be able to find out. is my mother even if it's not called an expedited liver, is she a liver turned down where the authorized OPO can hand off to whoever he wants? The transparency problem that they were worried about from the very beginning. Listen, look, you know what I'm saying?
This it's called expedited liver replacement, and it was basically enacted to prevent the disregard of livers.
Allocation policy for the allocation of livers to potential organ organ transplant recipients. Now, what it says
Will give and it seems that this policy was like loosely being administered. I don't really know what the protocols were before the official policy was, and before there was a whole bunch of there's a whole bunch of
is that a OPO or organ procurement organization, clinical personnel, or the coordinator that procures the liver no longer has to go through the Matron system, which is what the system that distributes organs. If they get a turn down from the doctor or the physician who's for the transplant recipient, meaning, like, look, hearts and lungs are life-sustaining organs. Okay, if you need hearts and lungs, you're going to take them when you need them. Okay, and if they're that much better than yours, you're not going to turn them down at all. So there's not really a line for them, because you're pretty fucked up if you need some hearts and lungs. Plus, lungs are hard to transplant. Okay, kidneys are commonly disregarded. Even one of my mom's kidneys, because of too much plaque. The transplant doctor's saying, you know what, we're just going to hold off for another one. But there's not a big uproar about it because they're not life-sustaining organs, which I'm not saying that you should. But livers is a weird medium. And it appears that transplant doctors were starting to get a little too picky. Maybe not too picky, because, I don't want to say that, because they get an ethical obligation to their patient. Like saying, no, I'm pretty sure we can do better. Fine. So what it says is, if you get the turn down, they say, no, we'll hold off. Like, think of it like this. Guy, he dumps his bike, right? He's like 40-something years old. He dies or something. Yeah, he's got a good liver. It's not a pristine liver. And my patient's 20 years old and he's got to go 40, 50 years with this liver. I can't just take this. But it's perfect for this old, recently sober alcoholic. This one's a couple years, and another 10 years with his grandchildren or something. Yeah, we'll give it to him. But to go through the Matron, it's an algorithm that figures out all your, first your biodata, blood type, mass body index. But even before that would be genetic information, gender, height, weight, everything that, with logistical factoring, like how far away, your geography and necessity, like, how bad you are. And I believe they take quality of life. Like, yeah, you're already 80 years old. So I don't believe, like, I don't remember reading that, but I think they do consider that as well. But it's an algorithm. You no longer have to go through that algorithm if you get that turned down. Why? Because the biointegrity of the liver, they feel may go. So if you do it, you can, if they get the turn down, you can hand it off to anyone you want. Well, how the hell would you they said that. They said, we're kind of, even like there was a minority dissenting thing against it. They're like, man, we just don't like the fact that we got people being able to hand off organs to whoever we want. Well, how's it going to be a fraud? Because they got to get a turn down from somebody they don't even know. Like they don't know who's being picked first. So like this, and they don't know if that person's going to turn it down. So yes, they do. Yes, they do.
The physiological desirability of a genetic resistance to the hepatitis C virus, which.
Okay, and when nobody wanted to listen to me, but that's when I found it, because I didn't try to go at them medical people until I knew how he did it. Because I already went through like the civil rights of I'm saying there's a transplant fault, but I don't know I know what he did. William J. Peoples, the organ procurement. Listen, could something be like at least semi-sophisticated, for the Quango clown and the redneck registered nurse, Jimmy Berger, and Ken Woodward. There's nothing really on paper that I'm my mother's son. Is there? My birth certificate, I had that. They were lazy and they were greedy. They didn't do their due diligence.
This the weirdo old man card, which he probably is. But he also plays this like see now, dude. He ain't fooling me worth his shit, dude. I know this lying cocksucker had something to do with it. He's actually like kind of he's I know what he's doing. He's actually trying to instigate something, right? So and that's why he keeps saying these remarks, acting like he's slipping, and but he wants me to just haul off. He knows that none of these cops, they're looking to book me on some shit. You know what I'm saying? So he knows shit.
In your police departments, okay, which they're totally compromised. Okay, what you see there is a whitewashed tomb. It might be shiny and clean on the outside. It's dead men's bones on the inside. The private-public partnerships have just totally corrupted, and it's not all corruption. There's even worse. Okay, I mean this surpasses your typical North Florida cop complacency and incompetence.
You want to be that corrupt? You can't be that fucking complacent. You can't be both. You can't be driving without registration and selling drugs at your car. You can maybe do one or the other. You gotta have registration if you're fucking slinging dope. You gotta have fucking, get rid of dope if you ain't got no registration. You can't be as corrupt and complacent. And listen, look.
Okay, now, here's the thing. They're kind of arrogant about it down there, as opposed to maybe up here, where you don't see a lot of this shit that you will see down there. But then there's a lot of shit that down there that you see up here that you ain't gonna see down there. And I think that might be a cultural thing too. Like, look, right now I'll tell you this, okay? Like when a cop doesn't feel like this, they're not going to try. A cop up here is not going to try up north here is not going to try to act like he knows about the law. He's just not going to do it. He knows I'm a fucking cop. Why would I try to act like I know about the law? What the fuck do I know about it? Exactly. He probably knows less than your average person. Why? Because he's a cop.
Okay, I know you just want to do everything but enforce the law. All right, you'll actually try to do your best to explain the law, and then you even take on the lawyer's job to interpret the law. All right, I'm sure if somebody gave you the chance, you'd start legislating some laws yourself. All right, and I know damn well you'll tramp all over the fucking law. All right, just why don't you try enforcing it? Okay. And for the sergeants, yeah, thank you so much. It's commendable that you actually, whatever I say in the email to the deputy Kings, I said to him, oh, you can see a criminal action down the hospital. Well, like I said, you ain't gonna be Ben fucking Matlock to see that. All right, yeah, it's.
I could, okay, but then it's not even like, yeah. First there's resistance, then there's hostility. Then there's full-blown fucking obstruction. That's the best tool. Especially when I got the same party doing the same exact bullshit as another party. Like, how many fucked up different organizations, either your administrator are saying the same thing? I got fucking John Grout, the fucking prosecutor for the Department of Health, trying to throw a case on Dr. Fedosia the same exact time. Fucking, I don't feel like throwing this kid on. Jamie Bookbinder is down in Ocala. How does that happen? The same source. That's how it happens. Why? I said the first thing I noticed, I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" I never seen it. Get a private lawyer. You need a private lawyer. Well, no, I don't. Well, you're looking at them, but yeah, right. You don't want none of this. You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Well, you cops don't know shit about the law anyway. But yeah, who, that state's attorney's office? No, they don't. No, they probably they're more capable than yeah, but they're handicapped. They're apostates. I'm gonna go for these assholes up here where I live. They have no fucking idea. Okay. I'm not saying they're as dumb as you Peckerwoods down there are. I'm just saying they're just unfamiliar. okay, and they're not going to be familiar until I throw one in the trunk of my car. Oh no, I saw that. Sure. I'm going to tell them to take their car and throw them in the trunk of their car. Did you ever hear a small? Here, this is why I'm going to do it. I'm going to go through. We're going to do a document review. I'm going to catch you guys up. Okay, I got other videos explaining, showing you some stuff, but we're going to do a nice document review. Then we're going to go into, like, instead of just proving what I've already proven to the authorities in the matter, but also I want to touch on what caused their terminal event, okay, and what supports that, and what supports this the psychiatric fraud that they're trying to pull. You know what I'm saying? Which is like, it's pretty common nowadays. You know what I'm saying? But it's not all about what you think. And this is why I have a real objection to it. All right. Listen, remember this. Obviously, they didn't read none of my material. The sheriff's office or the state's attorney's office. Like, look, yo, before you each try to put like a psych thing on me, right? Guess what? Let me try to tell you something, okay? Just, I don't mean to sink your ship and shit like that. All them fusion centers are run by the state. So when the FBI comes in, they say, yo, we don't even fucking know you. They don't even, like they did the mafia. How many cooperations did they have together? And in the 80s, they're like, stop. Don't even say nothing, because you shouldn't even be doing that. You're the mafia, but fucking, you're all fucking running us now.
This kid Osborne came here after he caught. They said 3 times the Marion County Police wouldn't come here until the state's attorney, until I told him about a fucking militia movement that was going on here, and he tried to say I needed some mental health. And that's the big. Everybody wants to cry this mental health shit because you say something about an organ heart. Listen. Guess what? Or being on drugs. Guess what? On my worst day, with schizophrenia, from here to fucking Arkham Asylum, and whacked out on the worst drugs. What the fuck does it matter? I'm talking about being right. I'm not talking about being smart or being sane. I'm talking about being right.
What do you think's happening? That 40% of all the money in this country has been printed in the last year. Okay, like you know what I'm saying? Where do you think that money's coming from? And I mean, listen. I actually went to this police station after the Department of Health opened up the investigation to report. Now I kind of played the part a little bit because guess what? I knew that there was a ranking police officer over there that was hitting my mom with bait racks, was supporting her, this harassment techniques and stuff. And listen, my mom called me and asked for a taser, saying about that she thought she was being followed and monitored beforehand and stuff. And I guess she just want to play it off. Listen, I never had a mental health issue in my whole life. Okay? And listen, guess what? Even if I did, like I told the state's attorney when I told him about this militant group of organ harvesters. Yeah, the whole thing with the psychiatric fraud. It's I'll tie that into both this Debbie Rissalci, who tries to, he throws me in this psych facility for like a couple hours once, I go there to report the homicide at the direction of Special Agent Tanner. But Agent Tanner's like, come on, that's the government ways. Get them the fuck out of there right now. You just crack the transplant fraud. I'd send them over there. Do you want to keep perpetuating the psychiatric fraud? They don't even really know why they're doing it. But, twice they tried to do it with me. It hasn't stuck yet. Now I see these Delaware County assholes are probably going to try to do the same. No time in 38 years. But I got a little something for them to show them. I'm not going to slow roll Delaware County like this, because I just hope to my fiance not to, just keep fucking with these people. But basically it's like that. And, well, the gang stalk, yeah, it's real. It's very much real. It's just a symptom of this. So I don't really, yeah, of course I acknowledge it. Yeah, how can't you? But I got my eye on the prize. See, this is the problem that they don't understand. I like to fucking rumble. But it's really easy. I can explain gang stalk in just a couple seconds. Here. Small dog,
that yaps at a big dog. Why? Because they're scared, right? I'm not Dick Buxman. I don't cut deals with murderers. But I'm not quite saying you're one. But that right there was an introduction to federally contracted murder, a violation apparently in no one's purview. It's the title of my full report that's coming out. Probably a rough draft, not completely edited. I'm under some time restraints. So stay tuned. I have a full document review that we're going to do. We're going to touch into some mostly the stuff that I established as a material witness, informant, and complainant in case number 2022000252, Nursing versus Peoples, where one of the suspects that I named in my mother's murder faced the full regulatory enforcement of the Florida Department of Health for his orchestration in the clinical phases of my mother's murder, which I believe was just a component of a black op with the purpose of an unlawful anatomical seizure, and which was just a microcosm of a much larger and insidious program of mass social engineering, which I believe this particular program may actually be using psychiatric fraud to subject certain individuals to biomedical research, then have even outcomes like did with my mother, Eileen Hamburger, a 58-year-old woman of Ocala, Florida. So stay tuned. I'm going to go to the document review to back up, and refresh what happened with the Department of Health, and also how there's complicit parties still at large at in Florida, which I'm actively trying to press for the full professional criminal investigation, as well as in New Jersey and here in Delaware County, Pennsylvania. So I appreciate it. Stay tuned. George Trombetti.